Good evening. I'm Donald Nisbet, retired Navy captain and the leader of the National Naval Officers Association Transitioning Assistance Team. The team is made up of retired service members, and our mission is to assist those service members that are considering transition and help them by expanding their network, whether it's with entrepreneurship, government, academia, or even education. So this evening, we're pleased to have Lieutenant Commander Twyla Arbuckle, and I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Lieutenant Commander Arbuckle is a native of Southern California. She received her Bachelor's of Science in Professional Communications from Old Dominion University in 2012. In June of 2016, she completed her Master's in Organizational Leadership from the National University and received her Professional Human Resources Certification in 2020. She enlisted in the Navy in 2003 as an IT and served a first tour on the USS Baton LHD-5 in Norfolk, Virginia, before getting accepted to the Seaman to Admiral program in 2011, where she gained her commission and served as a service warfare officer.
Joined the meeting.
Aboard the USS Higgins, DDG-76, USS Decatur, DDG-73, and on the staff of the Littoral Combat Ship Squadron 1 in San Diego. In 2019, she light transferred to the Human Resources community and helped lead the Officer Programs Department at Navy Recruiting District San Diego to become the #1 ranked officer department in the Western region 3 years in a row. And she now serves as the Surface Forces Culture of Excellence Officer in Coronado, California. We're pleased to have her, and I would like to turn over to Lieutenant Commander Twyla Arbuckle. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm so honored to be here and to get to chat about essentially transitioning while you're still in. But again, thank you to the entire transition assistance team for having me on tonight. But hi, everybody. I'm Twyla. Bio is done, so I don't have to really talk about my bio, so thank you. But yeah, so essentially for those of you who have listened to some of the previous recorded or have attended the previous recorded fireside chats, this one's going to be a little different because I am still active duty. Literally at work this earlier today. So this conversation is going to be more about how to figure out and how to solidify your plan when it comes to you joining the civilian force. For me, honestly, I had a bunch of different ideas going around, like, oh, maybe I'll be a teacher, maybe I'll get out and work for, the recruiting district, or maybe I'll do this. And I couldn't really just confirm what I wanted to do. So we're going to talk about it. And I threw some resources on there. I kind of threw everything into a sequence just for, those of you that are like, hey, I just put in my papers. I'm ready to go. Kind of where do I start? I have some information for you. And also wanted to make sure that I mentioned that I've been really, really into it. And I'm really excited that SurfPack brought me into the Navy coaching. And it's been eye-opening. I always just loop together coaching and mentors together, but having a chance to go through the Navy coaching cohort and learn how to be a certified coach has been amazing. So I've kind of set up my presentation in a coaching kind of way because I want to get away from, just telling people, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. Actually, I want to take more of a coaching role and pose questions for you to think about as you are thinking about your next chapter. So if there's no other questions for the slide counters, I have 4 slides. The main one is really just the resources. And let's see. And then, sir, I believe for the PowerPoint, am I able to just what if folks want to have the PowerPoint? What's the best way to share that with them?
So it'll be posted up on the website.
Okay.
And then, obviously, if they want it, tonight, we can, get it sent to them.
Oh, yeah.
They, provide their email in the chat.
Perfect. Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and put my email address in the chat. That way, if you guys have any questions, I can send that to you. But it was just kind of nice to have all the links in one shot. Hold on. Right. All right. And if there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and get started. But that is my email address. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Share. All right. Let's see. All right. Everybody seeing the yellow and pink? Awesome. All right. So again, this is how to figure out your next move, and excited to get into it. All right. So when you're thinking about your military end game, here's a few questions that as a prospective official Navy coach, if somebody was coming to me and they were like, hey, I'm thinking about getting out, I'm not quite sure. Here's some of the questions that I would pose to them, and I want them to really sit with these and really think about it before, just going ahead and going full into the retirement mode. And one of the first questions I would ask, even, way before you go ahead and put your papers in, is think about what is your dream or ideal terminal grade. My girl Jasmine B, she works here in San Diego with me, and if you ask anybody in her shop, she will tell you she is going for captain. She is going to get out of the, or she is going to retire as a captain as a minimum, and and see where it goes from there. But that's something that you should have in your mind, is like, what is your ideal terminal grade? And then I put in there, it's important to think about that high three. For me, I love the idea of being an 05, but I sat down and I did the numbers, and I realized after I made 04, if I were to stay in long enough, and if I were to get picked up at 05 at the first look, what does that look like a year later, and then doing 3 years, and it looked like I wasn't going to be able to retire until like 2031, 32. And I just said, you know what, I'm good. Well, maybe not. Yeah, give or take, like, 28, 29 or so. It was basically way too far down the line for me. And as a prior enlisted sailor, it was really, really important to me to I wanted 04. I wanted the gold Oakleys. And then after that, I wanted to get out while I was still young enough to start a new career doing something else that didn't require a uniform. So I'm really happy. I'm very content with my choice. But, I know there's other folks that are like, oh, no, I'm going for the scrambled eggs and stuff. Hey, and I love that for you. But just make sure that you have that in mind of what you want to do. And then while you're thinking about that, you also got to start looking at what your money looks like. I know, obviously, if you're more senior, hey, you're going to have, you'll be fortunate enough to have the opportunity to take a break, 6 months, a year. But if you're a little bit more junior and you didn't have a chance to stack your money right, you may not be able to do that. You may have to go straight into choosing a new career. So just whatever you are doing right now, just make sure that your finances are in order, so that if you decide like, hey, I still don't know what I want to do yet, you get a chance to take a break and figure it out. All right, where you reside is so important. California is no joke. Had we not bought our house in 2013, yes, I don't think we would be retiring here. But we're really excited that we had a chance to have our house here. We love our kids' neighborhood, and yeah, we're excited. I am dual mill. I am married to a YNC. As an officer, I like to think that I married well, because come eval season, I just slide that over to him and he takes care of it. But on a personal note, my husband and I, we are actually retiring together. And he hit his 20-year mark last year, and we're really excited. And that was something that we sat down and thought about, how does this work for both of us? What was, his terminal grade, ideal terminal grade that he wanted was a chief. I knew I wanted 04. And yeah, and we're going after it. Next, if you haven't already, please talk to your detailer about what your dream job would be. I was really surprised that after I had already put in my request saying, hey, I'm ready to go, and I already knew I was going to be done at 04, my detailers hit me up. Hey, Twyla, is there anything we can do? Tell what's your dream job? I'll put you anywhere. Where do you want to go? And, I just thought, I'm very humbled. Thank you. But yeah, if we had this conversation maybe a few years back, maybe things would have changed. But no, I'm good. I'm really good. And to be honest with you, I really do feel like I have a dream job right now. Being the Culture of Excellence Officer at SurfPack is really awesome. The staff has been amazing. They let me just run with, all the initiatives and incentives that I wanted to do there, and it's been great. So I'm really, really happy that my detailer at the time gave me my dream Twilight tour. Also, when you're trying to figure out what your next step is going to be, it might help if you identify exactly what you don't want to do. So if you don't want to work for the government, okay, I know with my husband, he's like, I don't mind if the money's right, sure. I know for me, I said at least for the first year or two, I don't want a government job. I would like to I want to soak up all the things that is a civilian. I want to be a PTA mom. I want to be a soccer. I want to do the civilian things, and then later on, I'll consider a GS job. But right away, no. But there may be other deal breakers for you. Do you want a 4 or 5 day work week? Do you want to be able to have an RDO, a regular day off, or whatever? So those are some things that may help you figure out what you want to do by ensuring that you put your top three. I am not going to do this. I really want to make sure I mention how important it is to talk to, obviously your spouse, but it's really nice to have a battle buddy, someone who you can trust about all the different things that's going on in your mind, not just before you get out, but also during the transition. I have about 3 weeks left of active duty where I'm actually wearing the uniform. And I feel like in a lot of these, transition briefs, one of the things that people don't talk about very often is there is often a bit of a mourning period, especially for those of us retiring that have been in the military longer than we haven't. And I'm just, excited, like, yes, I'm gonna get out, I get to sleep in, it's gonna be great. But then I couldn't really figure out, why was there a part of me that was prolonging turning in my inventory, turning in, my doing some of my retirement things. And it was after, talking to my girlfriends, talking to my therapist and, my husband, I realized I was kind of going through, I'm not kind of, I am essentially going through like a, not necessarily, maybe grieving slash mourning period of just, hey, this organization that I have been indoctrinated in, I'm no longer going to be that active duty service member, getting on planes. I don't get to go to the front of the line anymore. Like things like that. It's just it kind of, especially for myself, I came in enlisted. I came right out of high school and my parents dropped me off at at the airport and I went to boot camp. On my first ship, my divo was essentially like my dad, my chief happened to have a female, and I treated her like my mom. And so for me, it really did. The Navy does feel like a family. Also, I met my husband while working. My best friends, my kids' godparents, they're all, service members. So just make sure you have someone to kind of talk through that, because, and I mentioned this for a couple of reasons that have happened recently. My husband, he's stationed over at Naval Base San Diego. Just last week, there was a chief, been in 20 years, went through a rough patch, drugs, alcohol, all kinds of stuff. And when it was time to, okay, hey, Lance Chief, here is your DD 214. Thank you for your service. We appreciate you. He mentioned that he didn't have a place to reside. He didn't have a car. So my husband's command had to transport this chief, 20 years, to a homeless shelter on his last day in the military. And obviously, this guy must have been incredible because he made it to the chief level. And chief's mess doesn't just choose anybody. So it just, it really sat with the both of us thinking how similar, the guys in the same age group as us, relatively same backgrounds, but if you do not have a solid plan or someone that you can solidly trust and talk to, that could happen. And it is not just an enlisted thing, because just in the female Navy officer group, not too long ago, I heard about a friend who was trying to help out one of her friends, got out as a lieutenant, fell on bad times, and the friend that was posting for her in the group was essentially asking for resources for homeless vets. So I just don't want anybody, it shouldn't happen to any of us, but I really, really don't want that to happen to you all. So make sure you have somebody, and then I have a couple resources that we'll get to in just a bit. But yeah, that mourning period, it hits everybody a little differently. You may not have it all, but yeah, it's something that we may sit with. And yeah, last thing, I would just like to say, don't just get out to get out. Make sure you have a solid plan. All right, so the game plan. I basically put everything in kind of chronological order of what helped me. So 18 months out, I knew I was getting out, but I'll be honest, I didn't know what specific job I wanted to do. So I reached out to one of my mentors, Commander Maria, well, retired now, Maria Lorio, and I was like, you know what, ma'am, I don't know if I want to continue with my HR background. I don't know if I want to be a teacher. I'm just not quite sure what I want to do. And she said, Twyla, go to mynextmove.org, fill out the assessment, and in the end, it will give you a much better idea of what you want to do. And I'm so thankful for her for that resource, because it really did help me. It really did, pin down like, hey, you enjoy working with people, enjoy doing this. So here are some careers that, may work out for you. And that really, really, really helped me. Oh, and I see that someone's in. We have a new message. Oh, awesome. Thanks, sir. Yeah, that really, really helped me. So for anybody who really is stuck, just like, hey, I have no idea what I should do, I'd highly recommend that resource. Next, coaching. I'm a huge advocate for coaching. If you want somebody to just be like, hey, this is what you need to do, obviously go to your mentors. But when it comes to coaching, if you want someone to just help you kind of figure out all the things that are going on in your mind, and coach would be amazing. So the Navy coaching program, I have that link right here. Highly recommend that you look into it. I know here at SurfPack, we're getting really deep into it. We are literally working on having those of us that have been trained at SurfPack, we are working on having coaching sessions for the triads throughout throughout SurfPack. And eventually, no, I'm sorry, not just SurfPack, Surf 4. So this is something that's really, really important to the surface community. And I think it's, being on the other side, it's really valuable. So highly recommend you get a chance to reach out to a coach, or you can reach out to me. I will gladly help. And then there's the Rulins Associates course. So I put the link on there because there's a contact us page link, and you can reach out to the folks that run it. But the Rulins course is amazing. And I know it's been mentioned by Chelsea and Commander Floyd, but it really is awesome because essentially it's generally like 05 senior folks, but they here at SurfPack, they will make an exception if you're an 04 retiring, or if you're an E7 retiring. So if you're able to get into that, amazing. Essentially what they're going to do is they're going to sit you down for a good 4 days. You're in civilian clothes, and they're going to literally ask you some very general questions. Like, I think one of the first questions they asked was, if somebody could wave a magic wand and gave you your dream job, what would it be? Do you want to work for Google, American Express, whatever? And I sat there and I was like, huh, I wouldn't mind working for Disney. That would be really, really cool. And so I went through the course. I was like, yep, I want to work for Disney. I want to do like, would love to do like human resources, talent management kind of thing for them. And then later on, after the course, I realized I'm like, I think I like just going to Disney. I don't know if I necessarily want to work for them. So I changed my plan a little bit. But it was just really, really great to go through it with them, because they really get you in the mindset of realizing whatever your dream job or whatever job you really want to do, here is how to do it. Here's how to get there. And they literally break you down by having you search whatever dream job that is. And they're like, okay, look at the job description, look at what they're looking for as a requirement in order to apply for this job. And then they start asking questions like, okay, like how can you tailor your resume to show that you are basically qualified for this job, or what do you need to do in order to get it. It was great. It was so that was one of the I valued Rulins more than I valued TAPs, honestly, because it was really, really great to just have a chance to talk to folks who have been through the military, have been on the other side. These are hiring managers, so they hire people all the time. And they give you honest feedback on, they'll talk to you about your LinkedIn, they'll talk to you about your resume. It was fantastic. So for anybody here who is in the San Diego area and you're trying to get into the Rulins course, please, I have my email there. Hit me up. I can get you in touch with the coordinator who does it for us here at SurfPack. And oftentimes we have empty seats, so I can work to try and get you into one of those. Within the next 3 weeks, though, after that, you're on your own. But hit me up within the next 3 weeks if you're looking to do Rulins here in San Diego. All right, next, the NNOA transition team. I first came on the call a few weeks ago, no, a couple months ago, and everybody on the team was so welcoming. I was very honest with them, still kind of figuring out what I'm going to do, but I still have, a few more months and the SWOs are working me. So I'm just going to figure it out. And everybody on the team was so helpful. They literally listened to me as I talked about what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do. And just their advice and their support has been amazing. And even Commodore Al Worthy, he literally just said, hey, he does lunch coffees with folks all over the fleet. He will stop what he's doing and he will actually take the time to talk to you about your next plan. I haven't taken him on. I haven't taken him up on that yet, but I literally have that on my to-do list. It's something that I'm going to do within the next couple of weeks, just to have that professional oversight over what my plan is and making sure it makes sense, because that has been that's really the important piece. And in addition to that, fleet and family readiness support. So I know everybody knows about fleet and family, but I don't know if everyone knows that they will actually, you can make an individual appointment with them and they will sit down and talk about your plan. Like basically my husband and we went in together. Husband had his plan. He even brought his resume, and I went in and I said, hey, my plan, I want at least 6 months off before I start applying for a job, but or also considering just going to school and using my GI Bill, and or using some of my GI Bill, and having a chance to, for myself, I want to get my finish my professional executive coaching certification, and then use that to go ahead and get a job in the future. And I, sat down with him. I even told him like, oh yeah, I'm probably going to go to like a community college or something like that. And so even though I thought I had a solid plan, it was great chatting with Fleet and Family, because they said, okay, so yeah, did you know that since you are, California vet, you actually can go to community colleges for free. You don't need to use your GI Bill to go to a community college in California. And my mind was blown. I did not know that. And I apologize if you guys on the call are like, oh, yeah, I knew that. And I knew some certain states do that, but I didn't know that California did it. And it was amazing because he sat there with me and he told me about all these other resources I didn't know. I didn't know about CalVet, which, depending on which state you're going to be residing in, many states, especially like, Texas, are very vet friendly, and they have different programs that are designed specifically for us. They have offices that are specifically for us. For here in California, there's a CalVet program where they have webinars every couple weeks where they will either talk about emergency destruction, they talk about all the different California specific benefits, their city districts, and their job is just to support us. And I just did not know. I really didn't. Oh, sorry, just saw LTs can also be on the wait list. Oh, great. Lisa, you got to go to the Rulins course. That is awesome. Yeah, loved it. Loved it. But yes, please don't forget, Fleet and Family, they're there. And they will literally, they have like these just binders worth of skill bridge programs and all kind, like the amount of information that they had. As soon as I said, oh well, I was thinking about this, my husband was like, oh, I'm switching from the yeoman admin type work and I want to go into IT. Soon as the Fleet Family counselor heard that, he's like, oh, here, and he pulls out this binder and there's just a bunch of IT resources and skill bridge opportunities for him. And then my husband also mentioned, yeah, I'm just a little concerned about having an actual job because I'm going in entry level. And the counselor told him, hey, I'm going to give you the card of a government job recruiter, where that lady's job is to just go out and find jobs specifically for service members. And, just every time we mentioned a concern of ours, he's like, oh, no sweat. Here's this. So it was really, really great after chatting with the NNOA transition team and going to Rulins to then, saying, okay, I have a plan. At Fleet Film and Support, literally just supporting, like, yep, your plan sounds completely legit. Here's a couple things you may not know about because you don't know what you don't know. And now I'm feeling so much better about my future, because at first I'm like, oh yeah, this kind of makes sense. And then just with everyone's support, I feel a lot better. So yes, Feed Family, another resource to chat, or if in the event that you want to talk to somebody, would be the Lifeline for Vets. So I know in the last slide I had mentioned, make sure you have a battle buddy, make sure you have a coach, somebody that you can talk to. But sometimes you just don't want to talk to the people that you know about whatever you're going through in your mind. So I put on there Lifeline for Vets and the phone number for them as well, because it's just a bunch of random anonymous vets that will pick up the phone at any time and they will talk to you, or they'll talk to you, but for the most part, they really just do a lot of listening. And that was really, really nice, especially, in the event that you have one of those moments where you're just like, I just, freaking out. I really need to talk to somebody. These vets, and a lot of them are out of the military. They are another great resource if you just, you don't want to see the face on the other line, or you don't want to know who it is, but you just want to get those thoughts out. So please utilize those resources if you want to talk to somebody. Next, I put on there the VA education, because again, I mentioned like, oh yes, I plan on going to a community college and just kind of, taking some easy courses before I go ahead and get my coaching certificate. And, turns out I don't need to use my GI Bill for that, but it's important to know what schools, in the event that you are going to do a GI Bill, it's important to know which school the GI Bill will support or pay. So highly recommend that. That VA Gov education, honestly, if you just click around throughout that whole link, you'll figure out exactly what they would teach you at the TAPS education track. That was really, really useful. So that information is there. Let's see next. And again, folks, as I'm gabbing, feel free to raise your hand or mention something in the chat. And this doesn't have to be me talking the whole time, but or if you have some more advice that you'd like to throw in there. But yes, next, Wounded Warrior Project. All right, so the medical portion can be daunting. It can be very overwhelming. I was kind of engulfed into referred over to Wounded Warriors, a few years, a while back, for mental health, and they have been amazing, because when it comes to Wounded Warriors, they remind you, hey, not all wounds are visible, and we're here to help you. So they work very similar to the DAV, which I know a lot of folks know about. DAV departments, forgot what it stands for. DV, Department of Armed Veterans, I believe. I don't know. I'll get back to you. But anyway, DAV, Wounded Warrior Project, they essentially will serve as a power of kind of like, it's like they have power of attorney rights over your medical portion process when it comes to your VA claims. And they will work through the BBD process, which is just a chance for you to get ahead of the VA claims because they're going to basically take your records, they're going to filter through, they're literally going to read basically every doctor's and clinical note, and then they're going to write a list of saying, hey, here are all of the disabilities or necessarily or the medical concerns that you can file for and potentially get disability for. And it's really nice because these guys are medical professional, medical, like sometimes they will have a nursing background or healthcare administration background, but they know what they're talking about. And they have just been really encouraging when it comes to, hey, have you ever noticed your arches kind of hurting every once in a while? They pose it as a question. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, but just figured that's just getting older. And they're like, yeah, actually, no, because of your boots. Yeah, your arches are not, ideal to what it could be. So that's something that you should mark down. So they made sure to tell me to go to medical and let my PCM know about the cramps and the just the way my arches had been falling a little bit. And they put that in my record and they're like, oh yeah, we'll get you fitted for arch support. And that's now in my record, and that's something that I get to discuss with the VA disability docs for, because that whole process is essentially to document how your body has changed since you first came in. And that's just my overall analysis of the whole thing. So if anything has changed from that first day you came into the military, if anything has changed on your body, starting all the way from the bottom of your feet to the top of your head, you need to make sure that that's documented. And these guys at Wounded Warriors and DAV can help you. I put both on there because I'm going through Wounded Warriors and my husband is going through DAV. So we've been kind of sharing information. I'm like, oh yeah, don't forget about this and don't forget about it. And it's been really nice. But yes. So, and the last two resources that I have are Hiring Our Heroes, and then like a subsidy or a sub-department of Hiring Our Heroes is the Onward to Opportunity program. I really liked Hiring Our Heroes. My husband's going through it right now as as I mentioned, he's switching from the yeoman administrative job over into IT. One of the things that I noticed with Hiring Our Heroes, just, being a supportive spouse, was that, oh, thank you, sir. Disabled American veterans. Thank you. One of the things that I noticed was for him, since he was literally just shifting completely different jobs, he really didn't get much feedback from Hiring Our Heroes, because as he was going through the interview process, they were looking for somebody who in the IT field either had that IT background experience, or they were looking at him thinking that he would want to do a similar administrative role in the civilian sector, basically doing the yeoman job over at, like, San Diego County and things like that. So in his case, I noticed that he was a little frustrated because his resume wasn't showing what they wanted to see. He put on there he had his degree. He put on there, that he's working to obtain his certs. But because he's a yeoman right now, didn't really have much time to work on certs. He doesn't have that yet. So when it, towards the end of the Hiring Our Heroes, they, have you go through stuff, and then at the very end of it, there's a bunch of different, they have Booz Allen and all these different companies that are be like, okay, hey, I want you, you come do a skill bridge at my company. Unfortunately, my husband, he didn't get that opportunity, and we know it was because he just didn't have enough meat on his resume that attracted the hiring folks. So it happens sometimes, but in his case, he is now switching over and going to the Onward to Opportunity program, which is perfect for him because he's been grinding as a yeoman for the past, you know, uh, 10, yeah, like almost 20 years, because he was a CTA and he was force converted over to yeoman. But the Onward to Opportunity gives you about 2 to 3 months to just work on your certification. Any certificate, well, not any, within reason, the certifications that they have provided. But they give you the time to work on those certs. They have some experts that'll come in and give you advice and things like that. And at the tail end of it, they're going to pay for it for him, or they will. I'm sorry, they'll pay for that certification for him. Excuse me. So for him, that really, really worked in our favor. having the chance to bounce from Hangar Heroes, he did appreciate, excuse me, oh, he did appreciate the opportunity to practice his job interview skills. Excuse you. He really appreciated that because that was something that the Rulins associates were that they were talking about, saying, "Hey, it's really important. You get that muscle memory of practicing how to interview with civilians." Excuse me, one sec. Yes, so that was one of the great things about hiring our heroes, is him having a chance to uh work through the interview process. And hi, ma'am, Commander Evans. All right, so Commander Evans is saying that both Hiring Our Heroes and O2O are fantastic. They both support interviewing prep with top companies and resume writing, and O2O will support interviews and certifications in the entrepreneur track. Exactly. Yes, ma'am. That's literally what they're doing, and it's perfect for him because they'll get to do that, or at least how it was explained to him. He will have more to add to his resume, and then as he's going into terminal leave, there's going to be folks waiting on the other side like, all right, let's go, and he's going to feel a lot more confident about it. So that has worked out in his favor. So just keep that in mind. If you're switching, if you're a SWO and you want to go into like the supply or engineering world, just keep in mind Hiring Our Heroes. They are looking, I think Hiring Our Heroes was beneficial for folks that want to continue that same career track. But if you're bouncing, just be prepared that you may not get as many hits as other folks. Oh, and the O2O certs. Thanks, Brooke. She if you look in the chat, Brooks has gone ahead and posted the O2O certs in the event that that's something that you want to do. But that was something I was also looking forward to. Unfortunately, a surf pack skill bridge was not an option for me. But if it were, I definitely would have done that. All right, so so in a nutshell, I would say that those are the different resources that that you'd want to poke around in as you're solidifying your military end game. And then one of the things that I thought that was really, really beneficial is this on this next slide. It's the managing our transition timeline. So one of my chiefs, like 3-4 years ago, she had printed this out, and I noticed she had it with her, and I was like, oh, that would be good to have just in my planner. So the past 4 years, I printed this guy out and I have had it in my planner, knowing that my end game was summer 2025. And throughout my tour, I've just been checking things off as early as I can, just to ensure that I am on track for retirement without feeling that anxiety of, oh, I need to hurry up, and not wanting to wait until the last minute to get things done. But highly recommend, if you are a year or two out, you should probably have this in your planner every day, just so you're tracking. Just when you get a minute and you're able to knock something out, you can go ahead and knock those out. And then I just added a few at the bottom of this one, the Rulins course, if you can. The state veteran program like CalVet, if you're going to retire here in in California. And then I also mentioned it would be really, really awesome to do an individual fleet family support center, because I want to guarantee that those guys will find a resource that you may not know about, and it's only going to help you. And they literally are just standing by to support. They're really, really, really great people. And in a nutshell, that is my presentation. I guess in summary, if you are not sure what you want to do, highly recommend, let me go back to my resources. Highly recommend going to my next move. That'll help pinpoint you and identify what your strengths are in different careers that you would be successful in. Once you get a chance to do that, then go ahead and find yourself a coach. All they're going to do is ask you different questions to help pull out of you what it is that's important to you, and help you create a plan moving forward. Rulins course will only solidify it. Definitely recommend doing that after you know for a fact, hey, this is what I want to do. Because I went in saying, oh, I don't know. And it would have been nice to now do the Rulins course again, knowing exactly what I'm going to do. But that's okay. They gave me a bunch of great resources. I still have the book, and I feel like I'm set. And then, of course, NNOA team. The NNOA transition team is incredible. So please insist on the fact that you have these like professional individuals that will take the time out of their day in nonprofit, entrepreneur, academia. They are literally standing by to help and listen and talk to you about your next plan. And then you got Fleet Family, talked about that. And don't forget the fact that if you need someone to talk to about all the different things going on, the fact that, yeah, you don't get to wear a uniform anymore. But then at the same time, it's like, dang, I'm not going to wear a uniform ever again. And I've been doing this more than I haven't. Please make sure you have somebody to talk to about that. And if it's somebody you know, great. And if you want to talk to someone you don't know, hey, Lifeline for Vets, those guys are awesome. And then there's other resources down there as well for education, to help you out with your medical. And, and in the event that you're ready to just go ahead and get a job and do SkillBridge, which, hey, if you can get it, awesome. But I know not everybody can do that. So that is my presentation, and I'm ready to answer any questions that you all may have.
Awesome. Thank you, Twyla. Since I'm kind of running the show and acting as the mentor, I want to add that from my perspective as a former aviator, you want to flatten your glide slope out the door and recognize that we're all good at planning. And so your transition, it will be as successful as the level of planning that you put into it. So the biggest thing, like Twyla talked about, is just taking that time for the introspection, because that's probably the hardest part, because in most cases, everybody will get a job. And, if you take the time, then you won't be looking for another job a year and a half later, right? Because it's not a good fit. And the network, this is why we're here, to serve as a resource to help you expand your network. Because if you're considering profit, nonprofit, government, academia, or if you want to be an entrepreneur, we have people who have successfully retired and gone on to successful careers in all those different areas. And then the VA resources, if you would ask me, hey, would you be working for a nonprofit? I would have told you that wasn't even in my calculus. So the VA resources, people say, hey, thank you for your service, but you are entitled to so many benefits. And I know from working on this side that so many benefits go unclaimed because people don't apply for them. And that's the difference in the VA is you can be entitled to everything, but if you don't apply for it, you get nothing. So what I want to do is, since we have a fairly small group, if you guys have any questions, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I will call on you with questions of my own. Anyone? Okay, so Brooke, thank you for joining us tonight. Just curious, kind of where are you on your journey?
So it's a little different because I'm a reservist on orders. So I am in a position to decide, do I stay active duty? Do I go back to the reserves? I'm starting a family and I'm getting married in September. So just kind of, and he's also a Marine, so active duty. Just trying to figure out what's best for me in that regard. So I'm always open to resources. I'm doing prior service recruiting, so I always try to learn as much as I can about resources, even just to share with people that are getting out, etc. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Commander Evans, where are you on your journey, if you don't mind me asking?
Hi, everyone. A couple years ago, I was getting out of the Navy. I had some things happen with my promotion, and I was going to be transitioning out. So I did both the Hiring Our Heroes and Onward to Opportunity. Now, I've switched over to the TAR or FTS side, and I I'll be serving for, I just got promoted, so I'll be serving for 3 more years as a commander. And I hope to make captain, but, you know, I've, I'm still always assessing what's going on and work. I've been very fortunate to have fantastic jobs and worked with fantastic coworkers. So things are still feel really good for me, but I am always aware, especially after going through Onward to Opportunity and Hiring Our Heroes, that preparation is so important. And it was really eye-opening through both of those to learn. And I did a Deloitte program as well. It was really eye-opening to learn and kind of understand knowing what you don't know and figuring out what you don't know and figuring out the kind of jobs I wanted after the Navy. When you're in, you know kind of the promotion, what you need to do for a promotion, and somebody else often picks your job for you. And it's in your same career field. But as you're transitioning out, you have so many more opportunities to do really anything you want and make a career shift if you want. And then the other important thing as you transition is to understand your value. I
Yes.
know a lot of the people who came in with my cohorts didn't really understand how valuable our leadership skills are, especially in the corporate world or nonprofit world. And so I hadn't thought about that before. So kind of going through a coach or a company to understand your worth, I think is really important as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Twyla? I want to give you back the mic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, thank you, ma'am. I'm curious, does anyone have any additional resources that we could add to this list? Anything?
Yeah, so I added American Corporate Partners. I utilized them when I was transitioning because I knew, like you pointed out, I knew what I didn't want to do, but I also didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. So had the opportunity to work with one-on-one with a mentor for a year. As a result of that, this past year, I served as a mentor for a retired Marine. And again, we're finishing our 1 year relationship, but you know, to Twyla's point, the idea of you're talking to somebody either based on what you're interested in, so ACP will fit you with that person, or because you know, if you would ask me, I was going to be in somewhere on a campus in academia. And so I was partnered with someone at the University of Texas. And it was very helpful for me because he knew nothing about the military. And so he helped me kind of translate my resume and all my skills into something that was acceptable on the other side. So that was the value of that relationship. And I believe Commander Evans, to your point, he told me that he felt like he learned more from me than I did from him. But like I said, it helped me with my transition. And you know, I can say that I've been pretty happy, you know, for at least 2 years of my 4 years being out of service, because that loss of identity, you know, because I joke I was institutionalized for 3 decades and released for good behavior. So
It's true. That whole, I am a United States sailor. Yeah, it really, yeah, it can get to you. Let's see, Miss Adonica, did you want to share? You were talking about the in Florida, the veteran opportunities in Florida.
Hi, thank you for hosting and putting out all this valuable information. Veterans Florida can connect you with different organizations that are approved for SkillBridge. They also just have just a whole host of resources, too many to name. I dropped the link in the chat, but they've been very helpful in terms of future employment as well as announcements for career fairs, job vacancies. So once you get on their mailing list, I don't think you'll be disappointed. That's all.
Thank you. And I see in the chat, Miss Lisa Brown mentioned USO Pathfinders. So I haven't heard of those guys. That sounds interesting. Definitely heard of vet jobs, Mill Mentor, Act Now Education. That's a different one. 4Block, Vets in Tech, 0800. I did meet those guys at an event once. 50 Strong, Hiring Heroes USA. Hiring Heroes USA is different from Hiring Our Heroes. Oh, okay. I think I may have confused the two. Thank you on that. And then Allegiant Vets. And she said, I have not tried all of these, but I know that they exist to help transitioning service members. No, you're absolutely right, ma'am. That's that's a great list of resources. I actually want to look up the USO Pathfinders because I feel like that seems familiar. I'm not quite sure how that works. But did you want to expand more on any of those organizations, ma'am?
So yeah, USO Pathfinders, you get a one-on-one person, and they help you. They can give you an action plan, and they can like help you go along. And Act Now Education, so they actually, I believe, are the ones who worked with Peter Klein to make Mill Mentor. Act Now Education has a Facebook page and also a LinkedIn page. You can follow them. They do weekly rundowns on Saturdays, and they give out, I believe, a lot of actually free certs, and different opportunities, cohorts, stuff like that. And at least for the Facebook page, people ask them questions. You're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Let me look at the comments. Let me see what's up.
Right.
And Hire Heroes also has a similar thing. You get a career specialist assigned to you that can help you through them. They're going to help, I believe, like helping with federal resumes, LinkedIn reviews, resume reviews, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Now this is great info. Thank you. Okay, and then Commander Evans mentioned Act Now has great advice on certs. Awesome. That's good to know. Cool. All right, well, sir, I'm done on my side, so over to you.
Okay, awesome. And again, thank you very much for agreeing to be our guest speaker in our virtual fireside chat. Again, the intent is to the extent that we can help service members in their transitioning. That's what we're here for. And you know, I recognize that it can be a stressful time. And to the extent that you don't feel like you're alone, you're not alone, because it's one of those things where kind of like when you join the service, there was this unknown on the other side, but here you are, highly successful, in uniform, and we're just reversing that process. The challenge is that when you came in, whether you came in through boot camp or OCS, the Navy turned you from a civilian into a sailor. And the opposite is true, where you get a week, here are all the resources, good luck. And so that's why all of these organizations exist, because there is this gap. And to the extent that you utilize the resources that are available, that will ensure that your transition is more successful. And that's not to say that there won't be bumps in the road, but you know, certainly it's the one time in your adult life, in most cases, where you can do anything you want, and it's up to you. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And this video will be posted on the NNOA website the transition page. Once we get it cleaned up, but this will be available if you didn't take notes. And again, our contact information is also on the webpage if you need to reach out to us. But we're here to help. We want to see everybody be successful and get out there and do great things.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, sir. Thanks everybody for logging in. Yes, sir. I will do that now.
All right. Have a
Thanks,
good
everybody.
night.
Bye.